Ted Cruz is one of the most pathetic panderers sitting in the United States Senate today. Recently, we talked about when Ted Cruz went to Texas A&M and he started joking around about possibly supporting Texas seceding from the United States. Now, he says he's not ready to give up on America. But, if things continue to get bad like this, he says he'd reconsider and maybe then make Joe Rogan the president of the newly seceded Texas. Well, fast forward a couple weeks after that happened, and during a spot on, I believe it was CNN, they started talking about Liz Cheney, Republican representative from Wyoming, who has drawn the scourge of the pro-Trump faction of the Republican Party, talking about whether or not she could have a path to victory if she ran for president. So Ted Cruz tweets out the clip and he says, yes, it's called the Democratic primary. Ha-ha, zinger, gotcha, Liz. Oh, boy. Oh, man, what is she going to do? Because Ted Cruz just got you. Well, Ted Cruz didn't. Because Ted Cruz is really, really bad at starting fights on Twitter. I've talked about that 1,000 times. Every time Ted Cruz picks a fight, even when it's a member of his own party, he loses because he's not good at it. So Liz Cheney fired back and said this. I know you're posturing for the secessionist vote, Ted, but my party, the Republican Party, saved the Union. You swore an oath to the Constitution. Act like it. Now, there's a key thing in there. Posturing for the secessionist vote, which is exactly what we talked about. And we talked about when we did that clip. But what she's saying, without actually having to say it, is, Ted, you're so busy pandering to the craziest of the crazy that the Republican Party has to offer, you've forgotten what your actual role is. And that's what I wish Liz Cheney would have said. Because that is what she means. That is 100% what she means. No logical, rational person is out there saying that Texas should secede from the Union. Okay? It takes a little bit of unhingedness for somebody to actually think that would be a good idea. And even though Ted said, oh, I'm not for it, but I might be for it, it's because he doesn't know where he stands on anything. Ted Cruz, if he were an animal, he'd be a pander bear. Because that's all he knows how to do. He has morphed himself into whatever he thinks will benefit him throughout his entire career. There was one point in Ted Cruz's career where he was actually viewed as a serious Republican politician. Hell, if Trump hadn't jumped into the 2016 presidential race, Ted Cruz would have been the nominee. Okay, that's how seriously this country took him at the time. And it's because even though he was wrong about all the issues, he could still talk about them in a way that wasn't insane. He could still, at the time, convince people he knew what he was talking about, that he wasn't a lunatic, that he was a well-educated, reserved, and professional individual. But once Trump came along, that threw everything out the window. Ted Cruz saw that if you want to succeed in the party, you can't be the statesman. You can't be the, policy whiz. You got to be nuts. And that is exactly what Ted Cruz has become as he continues to seek higher office. I only wish that Liz Cheney would have been courageous enough to say it that way instead of the diplomatic way that she did. Sometimes, Liz, you gotta hit them where it hurts. You gotta say those tough things because we all know it's true.